What is
Oh no, false start.
I got some allergies going here. What is up, my UMortgage friends? Welcome to the Monday Market Update. You are joining me. I am joining you live from my studio here in Atlanta, Georgia. My name is Sean Grapevine. I am Director of Agent Direct here at UMortgage, and I am joined here by a man who, as usual, needs no introduction, but who will get one anyway. As Ben Bell is to manual underwrites on manufactured homes, so my co-host is to steadying our ship in the turgid and tempestuous 10-year seas. More turgid and tempestuous than ever this morning. He's as much a staple to UMortgage as Nicole Perino is to open houses in the Philadelphia metro area, ever showing up on her bike, sweaty but ready to help out the local listing agent. They can run, but they can't hide. In the same way, our host reminds BIPs that they are, in fact, his bidding doers. He's the man who talks to his Bloomberg terminal in the same caring way Todd Bitter talks to the least of us LOs, myself included. He's the man who coaxes pricing exceptions from wholesale lock desks the world over in a way not unlike Sam Abazari coaxes the full potential from each and every person he coaches. He's the Baron of Bips, the Lord of the Locks, the King of Collateralized Debt. He's the Colossus of Credit, the Titan of the Tenure. What else can you say about him? He is the awesome Austin Koenig. Welcome, Austin.
Thank you, Sean. Great to join you. Q4 has arrived. We are here.
Not in my book. September's Q4 for me.
That's right. We definitely discussed that last time.
Yeah. No chance September is in Q3. Think about how that feels to you. Does that seem right? Doesn't seem right. So this is month 2 of Q4, just a longer quarter than the other ones.
Exactly. The leaves are changing colors starting in September. It's Q4.
It's Q4. I mean, you can't deny it. Well, I appreciate you sitting through my long intro. I get paid by the word. I'm like Charles Dickens over here. Get paid by the word. So the longer, the better for me. Welcome. We didn't have a big news week last week in the latter half of the week. We were waiting patiently to see about the PCE numbers. PCE standing for, as we all know.
You got to know this one, Sean. I'm not gonna tell you. Sorry.
Something consumer expenditures. Price.
There we go. Yeah, that's good enough. Yep.
What is it? The P stands for price.
It's. I actually do think it is price. So
he doesn't know.
Right. I don't know off the top of my head.
So we heard about that. We'll get to that in a second. I mean, the market just can't take good news and just have it stick. It really can't. It gave us about 12 hours of respite. And then we've got some news coming up this week, specifically job numbers on Friday. But when the dust is settled, rates are where they were about a week ago. And so tell us a little bit about this whole PCE thing. It's the Fed. I mean, the Fed's favored inflation measure.
Yeah. So personal consumption expenditure is what it stands for. So, but yeah, like it was actually I would say it was a good print. All things considered, it was one of the lowest month over month readings that we've seen in a while, which is what we wanted to ultimately see is the pace of price growth, slowing at the end of the day. And there's a lot of different nitty gritty measured. We can kind of dig into the numbers as well, and that's what the Fed is obviously doing behind the scenes. But all things considered, we're seeing kind of the lagging effects of the rate hikes, come into play. Shelter costs are, help, moving in the right direction. All those sort of things that the Fed is talking about that they want to address, it's starting to come into fruition. And the good thing about this is it doesn't take energy into consideration here. One thing that we're probably going to see with CPI, like the non-core CPI, is September. Was a pretty rough month in terms of what you pay for gas at the pump. It's continually gone up. So that's one of those things where demand is probably not waning. Like people still need to commute to their jobs, or we're still doing road trips, here and there. They're not necessarily waning that demand quite yet. But we'll see if gas prices do recover anytime soon, but that's going to reflect on CPI. PCE though, it did look good, and one of the things that we're looking
not
forward
good,
to.
not good, perfect. I mean, it's 2.1 annualized for core, right, or something like that. 2 point something.
Exactly, and that's one of the measures that the people look at, like annualized or like the 3-month pace annualized.
Even
There's
lower.
a lot of good, and that looks good too. And so those are one of those things where how do you want to look at it? How do you want to read it? That's, I think, a good way to look at that and kind of a more near term like perspective, rather than seeing what it was a year ago, kind of like basing it off of that. It's kind of tough to do that, but I think really we've seen a lot of progress lately. One of the things that I will also say is the big drama that also we headed into Friday evening was the government shutdown that could have happened. Now, obviously, they waited till the final hour to have be able to skirt around that, kind of give it another 40-ish days or whatever. So we're not out of the woods, I'd say, on that front, but we at least are going to get jobs numbers. I was actually listening to the news on Friday morning, and one of the things that they were joking about was the Friday jobs numbers would not come out if we did have a government shutdown, because the BLS would not have people really clocked in to actually work on that. They would have the skeleton crew, so they can't do everything and also do the jobs numbers. So it's one of those things where we would not maybe have Friday jobs numbers because the government was shut down. But luckily, we're going to get that this month on Friday. We have some other data coming out as well. Right when we started the call, we had some ISM, this is going to be more on the manufacturing side. I'm actually going to pull up to see how that looks. The 10-year is still, I think it's looking a little bit better. That's kind of just more of a survey of its sentiment. It's 49 compared to 47.6 what it was last week. But construction spending is good, just flat as expected. And I would say the prices paid is also a good measure, but no good news quite yet in the 10-year or the treasuries that are trading right now. Still
you guys are getting a live analysis of incoming data from. It's just, you don't get this anywhere else.
We don't get much data that gets released at 10 a.m. right on the dot. But this is just, we're just showing off at this point. We're bringing new wrinkles every single time. So yeah, that's a good print as well. We have some more prints as well this week. But I would say especially job openings tomorrow will be an interesting one to see how that goes. We have some other ADP, which is kind of the I guess the dollar menu jobs report. It's taken with a lot of grains of salt, I would say, because it's been a little bit off of what actual BLS is reporting, especially recently, but it could throw the market for a loop. So every day this week, I would say we have a morning reading that can throw some volatility in there, let alone, I think the market's waiting to hear how Jerome Powell feels about this government shutdown almost sort of situation, and see, what kind of additional perspectives we can gain.
Yeah, I mean, the reason the 10-year took such a decisive continued march upward over the last couple of weeks was because of some of the Fed comments a week and a half ago about hey, we're not afraid to keep going. We're going to keep our foot on the accelerator, and we might hike one more time. In fact, they really telegraphed that they probably would hike one more time before the end of the year. I mean, you got to think that PCE reading compared with hopefully a favorable CPI reading before the next meeting, and maybe it feels like there's some makes me feel so dirty hoping for high unemployment numbers. But if the jobs numbers don't look as rosy as they have for the job market, you got to think that it's got to provide some level of confidence for JPOW that the measures are working. I mean, core PCE can't really go much lower. It's where they want it to be. So are we nearing the point where the market might reverse a little bit and start believing in a hikeless rest of the year?
I think it's too early to tell on that front, Sean. I think we have 2 more Fed meetings, this year, and generally there's going to be some more data, of course, before we arrive at either one of those. Here's what I think. I think the Fed is going to err on the side of we'll hike too much rather than too little, because we can do that.
Oh, don't worry. They're already
annualization. Yeah. And we can do that small analysis of hey, let's strip out this and see, okay, well, actually things are looking really good. But when you take a narrow view, if something else happens, the next month where it, kind of speeds back up, things don't look as good. And the Fed never wants to kind of wave the white flag too early here. They've been always, coy about kind of saying, hey, we're done at this point. They don't really like to say that. And the dot plot is very confusing to look at forward looking. 2025 is a very sporadic dot plot. So, I don't think anyone knows really for sure, how do we end this year? Do we have another hike? If data really comes in pretty cool and there's not much reason to worry about, doing another hike to calm the economy down, I would be surprised. I feel like there's still probably one more hike depending on, what we've just heard and all the comments, but we'll see. I could be wrong here. And, let's say unemployment really spikes or something like that on Friday.
Hey, one can only hope. That's what this messed up economy has got us doing. It's crossing your fingers, hoping for higher unemployment. I'm with you. Obviously, they at least need to present a united front about I think even them saying we're pretty much done does invite lower rates, more it's basically inviting inflation back in as you're getting out to do it. So I totally understand being strong about it. How are we're at least able to find par on everything, unlike we a year ago when it was getting a little rough out there. Plenty of high note rates in mortgage-backed security coupons. How is liquidity and mortgage MBS demand and appetite out there?
Yeah, and MBS demand continues to be a little bit on the weaker side. I would say here's what the issue is. Just generally, treasuries, MBS, there's some weakness here because just as a matter of fact that from the international side of things, there's international people that want to invest. The dollar is really strong right now. It's gotten stronger recently, and a lot of banks and just even the Fed, for example, the Fed was the biggest investor of MBS up until the quantitative tightening started, where they stopped buying any MBS and started hiking rates. That's no longer there to fall back on. Banks are continually, being very scared because they are learning the lesson that SVB and some of the other banks that failed learned in a pretty harsh manner. You have to not think of your deposits as permanent. You also need to be able to hedge your book correctly. So I think they're a little bit less of a blind buyer than they were before. So demand is weak, but at the same time, we're not, producing a ton of mortgages, nationally. So there's limited supply as well, which helps. But at the same time, there's still debt that needs to be eaten up by cash, and there's less cash than normal, I'd say, going around. But what I would say though is when the Fed does wave that flag of, hey, we're finally done with rate hikes, that's usually a good sign for the bond market. Historically, whenever that sort of thing kind of just ends and before they start cutting any rates, there's usually some improvement in the bond market conditions. So hopefully we see that here in the next, I would say, couple months. But I could be very wrong. Maybe they keep on hiking. But at the same time, whenever that white flag does come, it will be a good day for fixed income.
Love it. Well, we are having, I see plenty of branches and LOs having record days, weeks, months in the numbers. And there's obviously still plenty of people buying out there. Agent Connect is huge. We had a contract come in through Agent Connect over the weekend. We are getting that loan set up right now, and we've got a happy buyer, a happy brand new agent connection there. Shout out to the MC Mortgage Group on that one. So a lot of things to be excited about that are going to continue to, hey, we just got to, not weather the storm, but be the storm. And which you can learn more about at the Winners Win event, November 2nd and 3rd in Pontiac, Michigan. And when the Fed does wave that white flag and things start to improve a little by little, I think we're going to improve a lot by a lot as far as our capacity and performance. So excited to continue taking ground in market share. I'll spare you the questions about new lenders and new products just this week, so you can store some tidbits up for next week, like a chipmunk in the fall, preparing for Q4. You can stuff the acorns of new lenders and products into those cheeks of yours to be. Oh boy. All right. So we're going to go ahead and end it there. Thanks for being here, Austin. Appreciate your time. Everybody, let's go get some loans, and we'll see you at the lock desk. I'll see you at the lock desk. Oh boy. All right. See you, everybody.
Sounds good. See you guys.